This video is for anyone who's considering turning their space or home into an Airbnb, or for those who want to up their game to a 5-star Superhost listing. My name is Krii Black, and my husband and I have worked our way from caretaking to ownership of a 100-acre ranch here in Colorado. Now it's on our hearts to keep the property just like it is, and that means thinking outside of the box when it comes to businesses that make this way of life sustainable. If you find value in what you learned today, please give us a like and follow Back at the Ranch for more stories, inspiration, and do-it-yourself projects to come. Now, we have stayed in Airbnbs all over the world, and it was those guest experiences that really gave us a taste for how we wanted to host here on the ranch. It gave me a really great perspective on the things that I wanted to do better or the things that I wanted to duplicate. We wanted to leave a lasting impression, one that would compel people to tell a friend about everything that we do here on the property. But I have a handful of friends and family who also host on Airbnb, and hearing some of their horror stories made us a little bit hesitant at first. All of which we have learned to navigate and hope to save you the headache by sharing what we've learned. Step-by-step guide to getting started, managing yourself, and how to kill it as a superhost. And if you hang around to the end, I will even share with you how Airbnb will pay you for helping other hosts get started. Before we jump into the good stuff, I have to share with you our home before and after because it's totally crazy and the transformation is pretty incredible.
It's that song and it's like, whoa, like my love. But it's more like,
Now, a little backstory, we host tented lakeside weddings here on the ranch, and we've always needed a bridal suite for our clients to get ready in. But the most readily available space was an apartment located above a garage that hadn't been touched since the 70s. With a little help from a hardworking handyman husband and an interior designer friend who I will link below, we somehow pulled off a complete remodel of the home during the 2020 and 2021 season. And if you tried to buy anything online during that year, you know what a miracle it is that we were able to pull this off, especially when you live in small town America and the closest furniture store is a 4-hour drive away. It was all worth it when we ended up with a stunning home to share with our brides during wedding weekends and a profit-generating machine for in-between weddings for those travelers looking for a real ranch experience. All right, let's dive in. So here's my 5 tips to getting started. I found their platform incredibly user-friendly because it walks you through step-by-step in a clear, concise way. It makes creating a listing a piece of cake. They even have videos that guide you through FAQs and how-tos, so don't stress about where to jump in. Just take your time navigating the website and learn as you go like I did. That being said, in my experience, the one-on-one support or chat wasn't very helpful. So it's nice if you have a friend that's already hosting that you can kind of lean on in a pinch. If you don't, consider me your gal and drop your questions in the comments below so that I can help. Number 1, have high quality images in your listing. I'm not saying you need to spend a fortune on a photographer. Our listing is a mixture of professional shots and some of my own. But from a guest's perspective, I'll skip over a home in a heartbeat if the photos are bad. Another thing I learned about Airbnb is that it will auto-prompt the cover photo that it thinks will be the most compelling to those searching for homes in your area. For example, I assumed that an interior photo would be the most eye-catching, but Airbnb kept auto-prompting a photo from the outside of the home, so I went with their suggestion. Tip number 2, when considering what to title your home, I would suggest doing a quick search on other homes in the area and then get creative. I want a super long title, but it needs to stand out and pack a punch. Usually, hosts will emphasize the main attraction in their listing. For example, ours is the Loft at La Platte's 100-acre ranch and river. So we spotlighted the wedding venue, that it's on water, and the size of the private acreage. Yours might feature a killer view, a quiet oasis, a hot tub experience, or maybe walking a distance to popular attractions. Just be sure not to oversell yourself. Be real and honest about the experience that your guests are going to get. Tip number 3, take time romanticizing your listing. Now, the verbiage in the description is super important because it tells the story of why someone would stay in your home. So make sure to highlight what's in it for them, the things that they're gonna enjoy the most. When I'm a guest, I read everything on a listing, so I know people appreciate a detailed description. Number 4, the coolest feature that I love is the ability to have automated messages. This allows me to stay on top of communication with my guests even while I'm busy doing other things. For example, I have automated messages that let our guests know the gate and door code upon arrival. It's brilliant and makes you look like a total superstar. I also get a text message and an email every single time a guest communicates, so achieving the 100% response rate, which is also a requirement to becoming a Superhost, is easy to stay on top of. You also have the ability to list your interaction preferences. Mine say that I like to say hello in person, but otherwise like to keep to myself. Tip number 5, don't get too full of yourself when it comes to setting your Airbnb pricing. I would recommend using the suggested pricing that Airbnb sets for you because it's based on your area, the time of year, what other similar homes are booking for, and how many 5-star reviews you've had. For example, we are slammed in the summer and slow way down in the winter. So Airbnb's suggested pricing will fluctuate during those seasons to make sure that your home is staying competitive in the market. But at the end of the day, only you know the level of customer service and value in what you're offering. So don't forget to factor that in as well. We live in a small town, and if I was to charge what the hotels were charging, our home would be 3 times the cost of what other homes that are a similar size are charging. So even if you know it's worth more, it's probably best to find a happy middle ground. Now here's my 5 tips to managing yourself. Now, I was so nervous about the time that it would take to host that we actually ended up hiring a property management company to take care of everything for us in the beginning. We had 0 communication with the guests because they managed the listing, answered questions, and even hired a cleaning company on our behalf, which of course we were then charged for. I originally thought that it might be better to have a buffer between the guests and myself, just in case I was too busy elsewhere to offer the level of customer service that we wanted to, or in case there were any complications, since we live right next door. At the end of the year, it was a really expensive learning curve because the company took 35% of all rental income. And when we decided to break away and start managing ourselves, we completely lost our listing on Airbnb and all of those reviews. So it was kind of like starting from scratch. But all is well that ends well. I really had it on my heart to offer a more personal experience, and that meant managing ourselves. That being said, if you don't live near the home that you're planning to list on Airbnb, hiring a property management company is a must. Just be sure to find a team to manage the property like their own home, not like a corporation, if you want it to be memorable. Tip number 2, be a guest in your own home. If you can live in your Airbnb before sharing it with guests, you will absolutely thank yourself in the long run. It's almost impossible to think of everything you're gonna need in a home until you actually need it. So take the long weekend to put yourself in your guest's shoes so that you can be sure to stock it with every amenity possible. That way you aren't constantly running to the store when guests are asking for this or for that. If I've had a question asked more than once, you better believe I'm laminating a sign for it or adding it to the FAQs and the description in our listing. Guess what? You almost never hear that question again. Number 3, you won't break the bank by offering supplies that seem like extras, but it makes a big difference for your guests. For example, we like to offer a few servings of coffee for the morning after they arrive before they have a chance to make it to the grocery store. We also like to include food storage containers, to-go baggies. Pro tip is to keep the majority of your cleaning supplies and extras locked in a storage closet and only set out what's needed for that group. That way things don't just mysteriously walk away. Tip number 4, have you ever heard the term housewarming? It's normally for someone moving into a new home, but I like to think of it as a way to make it feel like home when they walk in. I always do a quick walkthrough to turn on the lights, the floor fan to mitigate outside noise, the fireplace without heat but for ambiance, a little happy music station, and the deck lights. It makes a huge difference to walk into a warmed home as opposed to a dark and quiet one. Curbside appeal and first impressions matter. Tip number 5. So what is the secret sauce to 5-star reviews? Love is in the details. We like to welcome our guests with heartfelt gifts that vary throughout the season, and from our reviews, you can tell that it's the first thing people love and remember the most. Every group is welcomed with a sample of our ranch-raised beef, homemade cookies, farm-fresh flowers or eggs, a self-care kit with my favorite skin and hair care, and a handwritten thank you card with a QR code linking them to our website. Now, I love recommending brands that I believe in, and Airbnb has an affiliate program that pays you when a friend uses your link to sign up as a host. Right now, I think it's up to $750 for that referral program. Obviously, that could change, so don't quote me on it. So if you end up using my link to sign up as a host, please let me know, and I will split the referral fee with you. I hope you feel inspired to share your special space with other guests and that you took away a few tips that will help you do so with style. Don't forget to hit the like and subscribe button and follow Back at the Ranch for more stories, inspiration, and do-it-yourself projects to come.